It was around 10 AM. The cold still lingered in the air, but it had gotten much warmer when I arrived at the church. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fudce playing World End Economica. It took a while because I went to a cafe and lost myself in thought, watching as people headed off to work and hunched over against the cold. Other than the temperature dropping 10 degrees, everything went on as usual with some warmer clothes and a bit of unrest. After 9 AM the exchange would open, and the confusion from last night would take off like a rocket. Yet the world went on as usual, which was slightly mysterious but interesting. But for Chris, that wasn't the case when she finally submerged in the market. I figured I'd probably have to stay booked with Chris, so I wanted to give myself a little alone time to think about Avalon. In the end, I only ended up thinking about what happened yesterday. That, and I figured Chris might get angry if I was really late. I returned to a church with an "oh man," but Chris was already gone. Huh, where's Chris? Goodness, you finally make your way back? Sure had left a while ago. I scratched my cheek lightly as I stood in the church. It felt somewhat more refreshing than usual in here, likely because of the cold. She waited around restlessly until about 8:30 actually. She said she had trades or something and headed off to Newton City. Ah, I see. With that, I remembered that even the programme was running at full automation. Chris wasn't able to do her trades herself unless she was at the office. She couldn't run into a risk of running that programme automatically in this sporadic market, so she was probably doing them manually. Even if that wasn't the case, it was someone else's money Chris was fiddling with. It was her responsibility. She seemed rather worried, actually. Reese, who had been wiping up, placed a hand on her hip and looked at me disdainfully. That is quite a disdainful look. She posted losses unexpectedly. It wasn't where it could have toppled over. The first time I posted big losses, it felt like my guts were being torn out, but it's something one must get over, or else I don't think I should be investing. Of course, the losses that topple you down are different. Even to a flexible stick will break if you bend it enough. You need to support it when it happens. I understand the reasoning, but do you just keep continuing to take losses, bear with them, and continue until you take losses you can't bear? That depends on the amount you wager. In worst case scenario for Chris, it should be $1 million in the red and get fired. When it happened with me, it was a bottom to hit. That was what Risa was worried about. That's why she was being so protective to a point where Chris had called her stubborn. Well, I trust you. I remember very well one of the reasons I was working at Eleanor's is to protect Chris. Can't tell from your face. It's supposed to be a joke, but I struggled and shrugged and started to head back to my room. Risa called out to me. But... it's a strange occupation. You mean stocks? Yeah, the reason why Chris was so restless yesterday was also because the dome temperature was lower 10 degrees, wasn't it? Well, that's about right. It's mysterious. Really? Very. The temperature dropped 10 degrees and companies' worth drops 10 degrees? It was something which only a complete amateur would say, but it seemed to hit upon something deep at its core. Well, stocks are vouchers for a corporation's profits, so if you expect the profits to decrease, then it's the same. That decrease in corporate profits, there's really a connection between that and the dome temperature lowering 10 degrees. I was going to retort that Emerald Industries lowering the temperature was in itself a sign of a spike in energy costs, and thus a sign of the energy costs of corporate operations going up. But I gasped with revelation. That is the exact explanation I'd gotten yesterday when I ridiculed a sudden spike. I lightly poked myself in the head, admonishing myself that I couldn't now laugh at Chris about it. No, you're absolutely right, there's no logical connection at all. It's all assumptions. This will happen in the near future, no question about it. This is a place where people go guessing what other people think, normally outwitting them, or even where people go to outwit those people go to make earnings. Meaning it ultimately doesn't matter what one company or another does, mostly. She folded her arms, looked on her face, said, "And?" And sometimes, during this assumption competition, reality throws out a punch. Punch? Yeah, like, hey guys, reality ain't that simple. Open your eyes. Ah. Then after everyone panics on the hit, they think about what the world would be like after taking it. Does that mean it somehow becomes a solution to a problem? Not at all. But unless it comes to wake them up, they'll remain asleep. And is there even really a need for stocks at all, I wonder? She folded her arms and cocked her head to her side, but I had no answer for such a deep inquiry either. Originally had much different purpose, but it may be something different altogether now. And what reason is there to have them now? That's... I shrugged as I answered. Perhaps a ticket to a dream. Nightmares included. Yeah, but it's only for a dream. When you come back to the real world, if you at least have people to pull you back to the real world, it won't kill you. She stared into my face and let out a big sigh. I'm so happy you're growing up. The tuition was high though. I paid. Chris doesn't need to pay that out. I believe I was able to make it into college because I had 2 tutors with me for that. I wouldn't have been able to pay up the tuition for. She gave a wry smile like a cringe and spoke. But shouldn't Chris's teacher be here now? Well, it's about time to get going. Pack your lunch? No, it's fine. You'd better eat. Got it. After I answered, I returned to my room. Risa didn't call me after this time. But many parts of my conversation with Risa that had stuck with me. That's right. Investing really was just accounting for expectations, so that's why those punches from reality come unexpectedly. People's expectations were two-dimensional, and no matter how much they filled up the gaps with mathematics, there was no unaccountable elements. There were unaccountable elements. I got ready, boarded a tram, and went up to the office, where Chris was sprawled out face down at a desk, exhausted, and Le Goff's tie was crooked. That bad? Le Goff coughed and coughed once again. Seems without me even asking, he must have spoken so much his throat had gone sore. Learn the risk of leaving things up to me, Sheen. Chris? When I called out to Chris, she lifted her head sluggishly and looked at me. She wasn't crying, but her face looked awful. It was like she was sapped dry. Couldn't stop the program very well. Been quite a while since we've done trades by phone. They were in a dire panic on their end since they were unable to carry out trades. It gave me a sinking feeling in the stomach. Whether an individual investor or a fund, basically it was settlement of fund accounts managed by investment banks. The only difference was the scale. If orders came in at once, it was possible the line could go dead. Lots of people had probably turned off their devices and picked up their phones even more so it would be being sporadic. We had trades allowed only in the office for risk management. This seems to be a problem in and of itself. Le Goff turned his gaze over towards Chris. She nodded, agreed from the bottom of her heart, and perhaps they formed a bond, having fought a bloody battle together all morning. How'd it go? She moaned, but must have felt something she couldn't hide. Looking at the display, she spoke. Not able to stop the program because it didn't stop. In total, 18% loss. Approximately 300 to 400,000 more lost. Taking on an 18% means she'll need at least 25 profit to gain all of it. In the world of investing, when numbers were going up and down, weren't the same. It's a shame for Eleanor, a financial backup, but it was a good lesson learned. I said that as I took my seat. I don't think it was annual to showing them in the afternoon and making responsible statements. It's a given in trading that expectations were off. It's a given you post losses too. She groaned and Le Goff spoke. You appear quite resilient to loss. It may have been a snide remark from him, but without looking at his former Swiss banker, I spoke. I've seen the world at minus 250% before, so my blood must be ice cold too. An email from Raina came right when I opened my tablet. The data classification is terrible, she wrote, so you have to do something about that. I wrote a response thanking her and sent it. I hear you devising a project with Madam. Yeah, I was looking at that all morning. She appeared not to have energy to respond to my reproachful remark. Having straightened herself up, she could only sit absent-mindedly in a chair. Turning a blind eye to Chris as she was and Le Goff as he rubbed his eyes, I opened my data from Raina gleefully. They had appeared to be in normal spreadsheet format, but they were near countless. Also, like Raina said, the file titles were divided by land coordinates, and by the file names you wouldn't be able to tell which one had Avalon written in it. Pressed my lips together for a while, then looked at Chris. Huh? She appeared much more childish, likely from being exhausted. Looked over to me with an innocent expression. I turned my tablet over to Chris. I'd like you to write me up a programme. Chris gave a smirk and spoke. Just for a bit. Le Goff wasn't here. When I pinched her cheek, Chris took a tablet and opened up a red headset and looked at me. What kind of programme? I'd like to search for a certain word in these files and extract the data from that. Okay. And I'd like to have the numbers from that. Okay. Also, if possible, add up the numbers from those files. Understood. She punched the keys without a pause while listening to me, and in no time she turned it back over to me. Finished. At speed. Was it witchcraft? My surprise had her beaming with pride. I can't produce my original programs like Savreau, but I'm confident in my ability to handle things I already know. Words from one who's aware of her own strengths. It wasn't just for show, since she skipped grades and was accepted into Lunar City University. I thanked her as I took it and passed it over my eyes for numbers. The gross amount of land Avalon had applied for was listed just as I expected. I opened up a single extracted file, just to check. The method of usage column listed energy production. Nothing was more refreshing than when predictions hit right on my money. Most importantly, I can now delve deep into the bowels of Avalon. I then pulled out the energy market log data prices and triumphantly multiplied the mean of energy output for a single panel. The result. I didn't doubt what I was seeing. The second time I doubted it. I checked it a third time. The fourth time I checked it again. What would we consider a cheaper energy cost right now? Impossible. I was frozen stiff looking at my screen. I could tell Chris was looking over me with a curious expression. I calculated one last time and realised how foolish I had been. It was normal to have your expectations defied, and those blows from reality were always heavy. What is it? All I could do in response to Chris's inquiry was to lay back in my chair. There was a single figure displayed on my screen. Listed there was how much Avalon could have been bringing in. Around 53 billion. 400 billion more short. My estimate, it was completely off a mark. Once I'd calmed down from my confusion from that afternoon, I spent my time looking over the afternoon market. I was much more down because Avalon than I'd expected. Of course, I sent over a result to Eleanor without covering up anything. No reply came from Eleanor because she was busy, or maybe she was downhearted about it too. Business was a chain of assumptions. If losses were one's wrong assumptions, when I was disappointed by my losses. And I talked big to Risa, saying you shouldn't get disappointed over losses. It's easy to say, but difficult in practice. Over with Chris, she appeared calm and complacent by the time the market closed. Mark had come straight from school that evening. As he reacted to each and every little change, his jaw dropped when he handed the tasks to look past to him. It was a bit unbearable to watch, and I had nothing else to do here, so I went home. I wasn't for Mark with zoning stuff, so either I needed to come up with something else or I'd be forced to give up. If there was no problems with Avalon, there would be little reasons for Eleanor to continue to act as Susie Wu. It's just that it does get pretty depressing missing a mark and something that's out so sure. Not knowing exactly what I was doing, leaving the office, Chris took my hand, apparently unable to bear me seeing like this. When I go over to Clapton Square? She looked like she was a bit shell-shocked, but I thought it was a good idea as well and decided to go along with her. A cold wind blew when we left the shabby building used to enter the office. Chris giggled when I embraced myself in shock. It sure is rare to have wind like this on a moon, isn't it? What is this? I believe it's from a rapid change in temperature. The town is warm when the sunset is out, but since the climate control in the dome has been lowered, then when it's colder. A cold wind blew through Chris and Chris chuckled again. Winds like this pick up, so it's common on Terra. In the colder areas it's not like this at all though. So I've been sheltered all my life. If you've been sheltered, then who wouldn't be? Huh? That thing you said about the goth today. Well, you said it was a bit... yeah, it was really cool. Chris said that she was practically embracing my arm. Her cheeks a bit rosy, maybe from a cold, or... saying, you've seen the world at minus 250%. Ah. These last 4 years you've told me so much stuff, but... today, having experienced my first loss and what it's like, I feel like I understand a bit better now. I looked at Chris from the corner of my eye, then pushed up the corner of my lips with 3 hands. It was a bluff. No way. Chris, contrary to form, flat out rebuffed me, then whispered, it really was scary. Chris and I walked clumsily down my Schrodinger street. It was all just numbers going down, but it really was scary. It wasn't her money. She wouldn't die if she lost it. She wouldn't bleed over it. Yet losses do impose fear as if one were bleeding out. Even if the pain from falling down and hurting yourself wasn't there, it resembled with terrifying memories of a sight of blood gushing out. Stop, please stop. You know why it turned out like this and you weren't able to do that thing. The world of -250% was an Arctic wasteland. This cold doesn't even compare. Sorry, I wasn't able to come back in the morning. I said that to Chris, feeling the pangs of my conscience. Because I knew Chris was scared and was looking for something to cling to, I had wasted a bit of time. It took a bit for Chris to respond, maybe or maybe not having seen through that little lie of mine. She finally spoke. If you really are sorry, huh? Then you'll make up for it, right? That face, so bashful, and giving her all. I clasped onto Chris's head with a free hand and patted it like I was mixing it around. No, jeez. Chris blurted out and she was angry, yet seemed happy to sink her head into her neck. When I took my hand from her head, she said this with a smile. Okay, Haru? On the chilly lunar surface, that sunny smile of hers seemed especially warm. Over the last 4 years, she'd always been nearby and most affectionate. I sighed and nodded. Nothing but a nod. But let's eat at Clapton Square. Oh, before that, I need to contact Risa. As Chris took her own tablet from her bag, it seemed like I got a message of mine. I figured it was probably an email, so I took it out of my bag and checked. Chris looked over to me as if she took out a tablet, transmission jack. It seemed like she was calling up a church. Then I looked at my tablet, I tensed up. It was a message from Eleanor. Thank you for your message. I calculated out as well. It's a rather unfortunate result. It felt like she was being considerate towards me as I felt a tugging pain deep in my chest. But there was more. So I'd like to speak with you a bit. Where are you right now? From what I heard from the Guff, you just left the office. If possible, would it be fine for you to make your way over to a hotel? I was about to send a reply quickly, but gasped and froze. Right next to me was Chris, going on and on about little things. I don't drink, but it's not a bad store like that. She gave herself a troubled laugh, but it looked like she was enjoying herself. It could be because Chris seemed so happy that Risa was warning her about that. It pained me to interrupt Chris, but Eleanor must have called on me because she had something to talk about regarding Avalon. I placed my hand on Chris's shoulder as she was speaking to Risa. Chris? Oh, 1 second, Haru. Risa wants to buy something on her way back. Chris was making a face like it seemed to say, what a bother. I spoke to her on my own face expressionless. Sorry, something came up. What? She froze that smile. Only her eyes looked shocked. What? Sorry, I'll do the shopping and I'll bring you something back. From her earphones I could hear Risa's voice saying, Chris? And when I tapped Chris on my shoulder, she finally recalled that she was in the middle of a call. Her attention was back on her tablet, but her gaze was focused directly on me. Sorry. It seemed she understood that anything chance was now gone. Oh, Risa, actually, I'll be right back. I heard her from her earphone, and Chris hung up right away. All the while she put her tablet into her bag, she didn't show much of an emotion. When her bag clicked shut, it was as if there was a switch. A smile appeared on her face. Don't go to any bad places. No, Chris. Well, I'll head back for now and look over what happened in the market. I'll wait up for you. Chris. Before Fidget could finish saying re-is, she jerked sharply on her heel and quickly started walking, still with that smile on. Then, before disappearing off into a crowd, she turned back and gave me a big wave. Then she took off walking again. I felt like I'd done something awful, but things with Eleanor are more important. With a heavy heart, I sighed as I applied on my tablet. Oh, that's a nasty thing to do. You've got your priorities straight with Eleanor because you need to sort out what's going on with Avalon as soon as possible. But to break Chris's heart like that is horrible. Join me next time when I continue the storyline. Bye bye.